Hello, everyone. It's Leslie Flowers, Trailblazer for Women in Business, and we're at Awakening Your Infinite Potential Telesummit, put on by Accelerate Experience 2018 events. And I am beyond excited. This next presenter is an amazing relationship coach and mentor. And her name is Julie Ward. She's savvy and seasoned at guiding high achieving women to embody their feminine leadership. I love that. Julie offers deep insight and wisdom on intimacy and relationship in a lighthearted, kind of earthy manner through unique private sessions and group workshops. She works with men, women, and couples. Her natural ability to form collaborative relationships, coupled with her deep love of family, calls her to shift her executive leadership practice, which she started in 1996, to transformational body-centered psychotherapy and relationship coaching. Boy, that is something else. Since 2010, Julie's practice is deeply and has been deeply influenced by her world-class sexuality and intimacy teachers, Micah LeBone and David Deida. So, welcome, Julie. How are you today?
Wonderful. I'm so thrilled and honored to be here with you, Leslie. So, yeah.
Well, I'm excited because they're going to love you. Everyone's just going to love your story. So, let's start off by you telling us how you were before you had an awakening of an infinite potential, and then what was going on in your life. How did you know it was there? And then we'll talk about what you did next.
Okay.
Thank you.
So early on in my career, my entrepreneurial practice was consulting. And I had what I would call a great life. On the surface, it looked great. I had, young kids and a great relationship. Everything was really stoic and wonderful. I always, at that point, committed myself to taking lots of courses. I always did. I've always been, the personal growth junkie, always what's next in leadership, what more can I explore? So the truth is, I think part of saying that is there was something unsettled in me, something missing, So as much as on the surface, it looked like I had this awesome life and I should have felt like everything was awesome, it didn't feel that way. So I was always looking for what is that missing? What is that, So there's a part of me that my recollection is at times I felt I was coping and existing. At times I felt despair. And so that personal growth junkie phase was about trying to, what is this? So there I was again. I threw myself into another executive leadership group. It was my first coaching group, actually. I had done other courses through organizations, but this was a private coaching group by a very powerful leader in coaching. And while we were there the first night, he's going around and he's saying, so why are you here? Why are you here? And people are saying, well, I came because I wanted to hone my blah, 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 or I wanted to find out about this or that or whatever. And so he comes around the room to my turn and he says the same question, why are you here? But I swear it sounded like the voice of God all of a sudden, because it came right through him and right into my heart. This, why are you here? It was profound. It wasn't surface. It was deep. And it was like it took my breath away. And it was bigger. It was so much bigger than, I'm here to get this X, Y, and Z. It was disturbing. I was disturbed. I think at the time, in the moment, I fumbled and I gave some lip service X, Y, and Z answer as to why I was there. And it wasn't until that night that when I got home that I, as I'm driving, I'm going, why are you here? What is your life purpose? What are you meant to do? That's juicy, that's rich, that's decadent, that's powerful, that's fulfilling. And it was that night while I was sitting back and processing this and going over, asking myself a series of questions, looking at that, that I hit on the sweet spot. You know, I'm drilling down, finding what is this one, what is that? What is that sweet spot? And it was intimacy, you know, and intimacy not being sex, but intimacy being able to show up and knowing myself that deeply and being able to help people that deeply. And the expression for me, because my stand in the world is about families that work, you know, there's so much suffering out there. I've suffered in my relationships, right? And had I had someone like myself there, I'm not being, you know, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just saying I didn't have the resources. I didn't know where to go in order to be able to reconcile the anxiety and the angst and the projection onto my partners and things like that. I didn't have those resources to understand what was going on inside of me. And it wasn't necessarily about them, but about what I could be responsible for. So that's why I landed as a relationship and intimacy coach. And then should I go on into the feminine leadership aspect? Is that okay? Do I have time?
Well, sure. Just let me make sure I understand completely. So the awakening, a moment for you, was the question that showed up and sounded different.
Yes.
Like, okay. So that caught your attention and it sent you into an inquiry.
Yes.
And so your first step was what?
My first step after that evening of this is what I wanted to do was, first off, I thought, okay, so if I am going to do this, I want to be the absolute best at delivering. You're holding people's lives in your hands.
Right.
You know, like I didn't want to go and get the shoestring certificate saying I can do this now, right? So I dived into researching, and I ended up taking a coaching program through one of the I think it's the best and most well-known in the industry, which is the Coaching Training Institute.
Those were the two things. As soon as you had that awakening, because I want people listening to recognize in themselves that as soon as you have it, you need to start moving. So you began researching.
Yes.
And you went and you took a course and you got involved and immersed yourself. And that was enough to keep you moving. So please now go on and talk about the executive leadership.
Well, now I'm going to say a little bit more about this because you just brought something up that I forgot here. Okay. What you said when I had the epiphany, this is what it is, right? It was making that decision. You know, I was like, boom, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to do this. I had no clue. It was just stepping into the unknown and deciding, like, this is what I'm going to do. The next morning, the newspaper arrives. Front page is how to up and coming profession in coaching and it had everything. It had all the top leaders in there and like everything. Front page. So my research was I didn't have to do too much except read the article and then go start checking out these different organizations that offered coaching as a training modality. And I had at that time a lot of other modalities in leadership and self-expression and all kinds of different things under my belt already. But to actually coach, I wanted to have the cream of the crop, and I ended up with CTI and taking their year-long intensive certification process as one step. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay.
So then you quite by chance moved into another realm.
Right. So I started off, my coaching practice who were attracted to me were women in transition, career and executive women that were in transition, either in the relationships or in their lives. So C-level, CEO, CFO type of women, very powerful, strong women came into my sphere of influence. And what was interesting, there was another moment in my profession before I really landed and came out the door talking about intimacy per se. At first, it was executive type of coaching, okay? What I was seeing in all of these women, and I believe we're all mirrors of each other, whether past or, different forms of ourselves at different times and stages of our life. So women that were being attracted to me resonated with me because they saw themselves in me. And they also, whether it was my current stand or maybe versions of myself from before. So before, I was in this, very corporate environment and very powerful and successful. So these are the types of women that came. When we started doing the work and going inside, the intimate aspect of it, there were qualities. All these women were powerhouses. Go, go, go. Yeah, it's a man's type of a world out there, and I'm right in there, and I'm doing great. And it's very high energy, very assertive, almost to the point of aggression, but not aggressive, but that. And they were tired. They were exhausted. When we started doing the work about really who they were inside, there was like this shameful place where these women were speaking from. The things that we're saying were with shame, and like it was some hidden secret that they couldn't share. Was, I used to be fun, I secretly want to get home and just put the laptop and the briefcase aside, and I just want to get on the floor and play with my kids.
So they were feeling guilty or shameful for having
shameful and guilty, like as if they couldn't claim that aspect of their identity, of who they are. And those aspects, these things about wanting to be with children, wanting to be fun, wanting to be engaged in life fully, those are feminine qualities, right? Now, I understand they're feminine qualities, but at the same time, because of how these were all coming out, I didn't have myself the clear distinctions about masculine qualities, feminine qualities. They were just, this is who I am, and those are just qualities. So when I started doing in my practice, especially because I was starting to dive into working with people in coupled relationships. So having that polarized distinction between masculine and feminine was really crucial to being able to pull things apart so that we could put them back together, okay, in a way that works for the relationship and family. Mm-hmm. So my next transition was to start studying practices in sacred sexuality, these concepts and constructs of divine masculine, divine feminine, and sexual polarity. Some people may understand that through the word of Tantra. Tantra, in our Western culture, we've really done a disservice to it. And overly sexualized it. It's like how to get the girl, how to get the guy, that kind of attitude. And it's not like that at all. It's this sacredness, this special place of being able to have conscious loving, being present and honoring the divine masculine and the feminine in each of us. Like you've got masculine and feminine in you. Otherwise, if you didn't have a masculine, you wouldn't be thinking. The masculine is what is our consciousness. Well, the feminine is that felt sense. Mm-hmm. And we have to have this marriage of both inside of us, never mind outside. So the intimacy part is that holy matrimony inside of our masculine and our feminine, the mm-hmm. felt sense and sensitivity that we have as women, and to allow that to come out.
Well, and now that you're mentioning this, I'm really excited to let everybody know that you are providing as your download self-assessment or relationship quiz. And it can be with another person, or it can be a relationship with yourself. Mm-hmm. Determine, and the way I understand it, and clarify, please, more, mm-hmm. That it will allow you to begin to determine the missing pieces in those relationships. So once you see them and distinguish them, then you can put something in there. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, a fair assessment of the assessment. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So the intention is to go through the quiz and be extremely honest with yourself, so that you can see where the gaps are, where there's perhaps areas in your life that you could cultivate more, and other areas where things are good in that genre and you don't have to worry about it. But it's about really
some of the biggest missings in intimate relationships. And I mean, it can be business relationships, brothers and sisters, husbands and wives. In terms of intimacy and being honest and open, what are the biggest, are there some common denominators of the big missing?
Yes. Well, people that in a relationship, people will complain. Their number one complaint in 85% of the cases is around sex. Sex is missing. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. However, that said, in a healthy relationship, only 10%, most couples will say sex is about 10% of the equation. Okay. So the work, when people do come for intimacy counseling and coaching, thinking that sex is their problem, really what people are wanting is connection.
Yeah, I thought so.
They're wanting to be seen. They're wanting to be heard. They're wanting to be felt. They're wanting deep connection. Both people, men and women, are wanting that connection. And yet we try to find something a little bit outside of ourselves, which could be the realm of sex.
So let me ask you this. So,
Yeah.
now that we're not a corporate nation by any means,
Yeah.
we're loaded with entrepreneurs and small business owners that are rather isolated. We hear stories of people having two-dimensional online relationships that last for a long time. Does this exacerbate the problem, or does it does it reveal it so that people go, I really need some connection?
No, I know. I think people love to live behind screens and fantasize. You can conjure up in your mind's eye and actually have a visceral experience of feeling passionately and deeply in love with a digital image or a set of words, right? So it depends on the depth of intimacy, so if on the surface, if you want to just engage two-dimensionally, that's fine. If you want to engage three-dimensionally, that's fine. But what I'm offering is the potential of more dimensions than just three.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that, things are very different nowadays. So
it is.
All right, so let's get back now to the awakening, when a person has an awakening, and also that you're willing to share your downloads so that we can privately, right, take a look at, honestly, like you said, our relationship with ourselves, if we don't have a partner, or with our partner, to figure out how to make it better and better and better. And then once they do this assessment, can they reach out to you and have a conversation? Is that a possibility?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And if they wanted to reach out to you right now, what is your website, Julie?
It's julieward.com.
Perfect.
So they can go there. And there's an ebook there as well if they wanted to take a look at that as well. So that would help them too.
So what I especially liked about what you shared is the awakening moment that you had, and then the steps that you took. And I love that you got into action right away. Yeah. Right? And things have been happening ever since, right? And it's evolved. And so would you say that you had more than one awakening moment?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
So then there's infinite potential continues. There's no end.
There is no end. There is no end.
I love that. I love that. Julie, this was so fantastic. I am thrilled about what you did. And for those who are listening, I encourage you to download her relationship quiz or assessment to really determine what areas could you improve in your life, and then connect with Julie, and she'll be able to help you decipher the assessment and perhaps take one or two steps just like you did. Right, Julie?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. You were just amazing. I love what you had to say. And this is Leslie Flowers. We're awakening our infinite potential telesummit, and I will see you with the next speaker. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much, Leslie. You've been wonderful as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Good job. Did you feel like you got to say enough?
I think, yeah. It was more than, well, it's never enough, you know that. But
well, but I wanted to try to get a little deeper, and I wanted, you know what I mean, and I wanted to make sure that that people you saw it. I realized that I want everybody to download that. Yeah. Because that's really the first step to you. Right. And the faster they can get to you, the less money you spend acquiring clients.
Yeah.
That's
So
the whole thing.
I have to ask you something because I'm not. I actually have a concern right now about this download. So I give you the PDF of it.
No, you give me a link. You
A
have
link.
a page. Okay, so I gotta
Because
put that out.
we did not announce it on this video what the link was.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. So what's
Okay.
going to happen? Don't you worry. This is the
All
last.
right. I know you've got it all figured
So
out.
on the page where they
Yeah.
go to click to watch you is where
Mhm.
the opt-in is.
Okay,
What
perfect.
I'm going to ask you for is the link to your landing page.
Right. Okay.
And then that, you see what I mean? That's all
Yeah.
I'll need. And
Okay,
then
good.
that will be on the page with your picture and your bio.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
Good
Okay,
job,
good.
my friend. This is going to be so
Wow.
exciting.
Yeah. You know, you are amazing at interviewing and really honing in. Like, you are just so gifted. My God. You
Thank
should have like a
you.
TV program. Never mind podcast.
Well, you know what's so interesting? I was telling my mastermind about this.
Yeah.
In the 50s, when I was a little girl, we got a TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Julian, I remember this is like it was yesterday.
Mm.
I was so enamored with TV that I would stand in front of the medicine chest, which we call the medicine chest or medicine cabinet there, glass,
Yeah.
and I would teach people how to brush their teeth properly. I was brushing my teeth anyway, and then you do this and this and this. And I was literally performing.
Wow.
And so I'm 71 now, so I was about 9.
Yeah.
So 60 years later, be careful what you wish for.
Well, here you are. As long as it's not brushed, well, I guess it's kind of wax on, wax off, brushed, but it is. You are.
Well, I thought it was really fun, and my intention is that all 25 people that we have, I mean, that we just are overwhelmed with response, and I'm seeing that. I'm intending it, and with these 25 people, who are the better people to do this? The people that have taken a hint from the universe, intuition, an idea, and moved on it and created something heart-centered for other people.
Yeah, I know.
And that is just wonderful in life. Yeah. Wonderful.
It is. It's good. Yeah.
All right, sweetheart, you go. I'm so glad you did this. Love you.
All right. Love you too. Take care. All right. Thanks again. Talk soon. Bye-bye.